Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County's A-OK, from Tampa, Stinson, all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. The Dennis, Dylan, and W.
Welcome to the Run TMC Podcast. That is the Run the Marin County Podcast, a podcast about the joyous sport of basketball based right here in our own Marin County, California. I am Duffy Ballard. This is Season 3, Episode 22 of the Run TMC Podcast. And with me this morning, I'm not quite clear on his coffee status yet, but I will be shortly, is friend and co-host, it looks hot to me, friend and co-host Dave Levine. Good morning, Dave. I want to start off by getting your quick thoughts on a really fun and exciting Warriors game from last night, the first of two play-in games for the Warriors this year.
Okay, it feels like I'm testifying before Congress. There are several questions I have to answer. Number one, yes, it's hot coffee. Very important today. Number two, you addressed the joyous sport of basketball, and this episode, more than any other, is all about joy with one of the greatest players to ever play in this orbit, Eddie Joe Chavez, and he plays with joy. So love those two things. And then finally, the Warriors. So I was on a plane back from Dallas last night, and our good friends at United, not a sponsor, sadly, the Wi-Fi was not working on the airplane. Rough timing.
Don't get me started there, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
I battled with them for an entire 13-hour flight back from New Zealand.
Yeah. You know what? The miracle of flight is amazing. Like Louis C.K. did a funny thing about that. Like we complain about no Wi-Fi on the plane. Like, dude, you're flying through the air. I mean, so I appreciate I am here safely, but the Wi-Fi was down at the worst possible time during the Warriors playing game. So I landed to, I'm not kidding, 83 text messages. I think 65 of those were from my dad and brother with a play-by-play of the Warrior game, which was not constructive. But I was able to watch the fourth quarter last night, rewatch the fourth quarter, and just incredible. You know, we talk about championship DNA. We've mentioned that phrase before, and Steph was incredible. Draymond made game-winning plays. But Al Horford, man. How about Al Horford?
Man, this was quintessential old man ball. You know, I just loved to watch it. You know, early in the game, Horford was off. And I was thinking to myself, man, if Horford's going to be off tonight, the Warriors don't have a chance because they needed the magic he brought in the fourth quarter. That's what they needed to win the game. But you're watching him, he's kind of hobbling up and down the floor. I mean, he looks like, you know, a younger, more spry version of myself going up and down the floor. And I was like, wow, the Warriors really are getting old. But like he summoned that magic in the fourth quarter. And the last three from the left wing there, it was barely in his hands before it went up. And then that hit nothing but net.
Yeah, he did he caught it like the ball was like at his eyebrows and the ball didn't come down. He just caught it and it went straight up. Total confidence. Just, I mean, this is why you get out a guy like Al Horford, why you have a veteran like that.
Catch high, shoot high. That was beautiful. And Porzingis had a couple of those too. Man, catch high, shoot high from like 25 feet, kicking your leg out. But yeah, he looked great as well, even though he wasn't in the lineup down the stretch, which I understand why, because Horford had been hitting shots, and defensively, you're going to go with Horford over Porzingis down the stretch, and that was probably the right call. But Porzingis had a great game as well.
It is interesting to see who I was noticing that as well, who Kerr went with late. You know, Pajemski was on the floor, GP was on the floor. Obviously, Draymond made some. I mean, that was a classic example of, you know, you don't need to score to impact games. I mean, the defensive plays that Draymond made in the last 5 minutes, just next level stuff, and including, you know, he got kind of tweaked his knee a little bit, which was scary. But then he comes back in and makes two huge steals against, you know, a perennial all-star in Kawhi, who himself is a great defensive player. I just thought, what an awesome win. I mean, I you know, who knows what's going to happen with this team. We know that all year they've been kind of struggling, and this middling team dealing with injuries. That game took a lot out of them, but man, it was really cool to see them win it. And a great lesson to the kids listening and who watched that game, play till the end. I mean, they were down 11 with, I don't know, 9 minutes left maybe, and it felt really bad. The vibes were not good. But then just one little momentum shift, right? They score, they get a steal, all of a sudden they're back in it, right?
Yep.
I mean, just that's how quickly it turned.
Kerr almost waited too long to get Curry back in the game. I know they were,
He did.
They did have a minute's goal.
Yep.
But yeah, he almost, if he'd waited another minute to get him in the game again, I think they were done because, I love D'Anthony Melton as a player, and I thought maybe he should have been in the game in the final few minutes. But having him as your backup one is not a great solution. And the offense just did not look good when he was, with that second unit. They just couldn't get into their action, and they're turning the ball over. I mean, how many turnovers did they have? 20 around there, and they still won. It was turn back the clock for the Warriors. Fun to watch. I mean, even the Curry shot that he hit to put him ahead by 3 there. Like, I was yelling at the TV, no, like, wanted him to like try and get to the hoop right there because he had almost airballed the one before, but he hits that against the double team, balling out of bounds virtually. And anyway, we're even though they were 37-45, they still gave us some moments like that this year. And, at some point, and whether it's next year or in 2 years, it's not going to be there anymore. It's going to be sad. So relish in these moments of the greatness that this team can still summon.
When it comes down to it, there's so many different aspects to basketball. There's rebounding, there's defense, there's all the intangibles, the glue guy stuff that absolutely matters, really matters. The bottom line, the Warriors made shots in the fourth quarter when they needed to. And I was in Dallas. I was at a conference, and I was speaking with a guy who played for Pete Carrill at Princeton. And we were joking about, I mentioned this on a prior episode years ago, that Pete Carrill one time was asked about, like, how do you have such success at Princeton? Like, how are you guys so good? And he basically said, we make shots. And sometimes that's just, it's as simple as just sometimes you got to step up and make shots. And your Marin Catholic team this year did that. The guy we talked to today on this episode, so excited, Eddie Joe Chavez, in the biggest game on the biggest stage, Eddie Joe Chavez made some shots. Mike Delosio made the Indiana team because he made some shots. So sometimes you just got to make shots, Duff.
Yeah, and I think and Kevin Vasquez, Coach Vasquez, talked about this a lot. So I don't think there was any secret as to why the Marin Catholic team made a lot of shots this year, because it was an area of emphasis. And Kevin said exactly that a lot to the team and the coaching staff. He said it's sometimes it just comes down to making shots, and because of that philosophy, the players took a ton of shots in practice.
Yep.
Game-like shots over and over again until they were sick and tired of it, and then kept going with more game-like shots. And in the end, they hit maybe 10 to 15% more game-like shots than they would have otherwise. And that can be the difference between winning a lot of games and winning not as many games.
Absolutely. So fun Warrior game. Good luck to them the rest of the way. What's next, Duff?
Well, Dave, I would like to thank our sponsors. So thank you to the Hub in San Anselmo. Thank you to Encore Custom on the web and in San Rafael on 4th Street. Thank you to the Social Club, that's Social Club with a K in Sausalito, and to John Lawson and our friends at Batiste Rum that you can find at a number of fine establishments here in Marin County and elsewhere, including Cultivare in Sausalito, run by friend of the podcast, Darren Banks.
D. Banks.
You'll hear more from our sponsors at the end of this episode. Thank you very much for your support. And Dave, next, I think we have, or I should say maybe I have, a quick glossary item that we can discuss, and it is relevant to both our guest on this episode, but as well as our discussion with the Warriors.
Fantastic.
So analytics, of course, as we know, are the present as well as the future of sport in basketball. They have advanced a ton since you and I were playing many epochs ago. And one that I just heard recently, which I knew this concept, but I hadn't heard the term before, and it makes a lot of sense. And it's a gravity score. So it's the amount of gravity that a specific player demands on the floor, whether it's defensive gravity or offensive gravity. And it's a way to measure the importance of that. And, Steph Curry is a great example. But another example, sticking with the Warriors here, Klay Thompson, and the fact that Klay did one thing or a couple things, but really one thing so well that teams had to adjust their entire defensive approach to try and take that thing away. And the gravity of that opens up opportunities for a bunch of other stuff that could happen, more space on the floor. And so the ability to measure that and quantify it is a gravity score. And one example is like, what is the average distance on a player's shot? How close is the defender? And so how contested of shots are they taking because, the other team's defense is committed to being sort of up in their shorts every single time. And of course, sometimes as even players like Klay and Steph and great shooters are going to get open shots, but on average, they're going to have to take shots against closer defense because defenses are trying to take away the opening. So yeah, gravity score, Dave.
Love it. Reminds me of two things. One, Dan Krikorian, our guest from the Slap and Glass podcast, great guy, great coach. He mentioned a couple times the concept of gravity. Who has the gravity on the floor?
Right.
Really useful concept. And then it reminds me of our discussion with Adam Gutierrez, the guy who from Huddle. Great conversation. And he was talking about Messi, right? With the gravity that Messi draws on the pitch, and that frees up his teammates. So it's not always that Messi's the one who's scoring, but he draws so much attention to himself. And he was talking about the marriage of, Huddle's cameras with the analytics and kind of tracking movement, and that Messi's movement on the field is much less than everybody else, but it's because he's selective in where he moves. He's drawing people away from the action to open up his teammates. Thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you would do if you were being guarded with a box and one, right? So if another team has decided they're going to try and take you away,
yep.
I've seen players do this, and you could do it too much, but you're being guarded, and so you're going to take that defender out probably near mid-court, and you're going to see whether or not your four can beat their four. But if it doesn't look like that's going well, you're going to pick your moment and a spot. Maybe there's going to be a screen, or maybe it's just going to be, you're going to wait for a moment where your defender looks away for a second, and then you're going to make a very selective and surgical cut and try and get the ball. But overall in the possession, you're probably not moving around all that much because your team already has an advantage by drawing that defender out of the play.
I mean, I had an example a couple years ago when Carly Amborn was playing for me. She was really hurt and she didn't play in a game. And at the very end, she asked to be put in. She could barely move, but she's Carly Amborn. So they were focused on her on the last possession, and that opened it up for our other scorer, Tosha Konchak, to go to the basket and score and hit a game winner. And Carly couldn't do anything, but they couldn't ignore her. So she had the gravity, and that opened it up for somebody else to make a play.
We, Owen Bugas, a couple years ago with Archie, Terlinda played a box and one. And what he would do, he would wait a little bit, but then if nothing was going on, he would just kind of charge towards whoever had the ball and get it. And in that, in the getting the ball, they were playing him very physically. They fouled him like maybe 3 or 4 times in a row. And suddenly, we're at the bonus and he's shooting free throws, which is exactly what we wanted. That's
sure.
An ideal situation. So, just kind of attack the pressure. And they weren't super disciplined about how they dealt with that offensive attack. And it worked out.
Great. I like that one. Good. A very good glossary.
All right. Let's see. We're going to say goodbye to Holden. Have a great day at school and enjoy your trip to the dentist.
That's great podcasting right there.
know, you got to acknowledge your family, even when you're dead serious with your part-time job. All right, Dave. So I think we're going to get into the intro of. I think it's probably fair to say that our guest on this podcast is one of the top 2 or 3 goats of Marin County basketball, if not the goat. But we're going to get there. First, a quick player control. I've got 2. I don't know if you have any, Dave.
Okay. I do, but I'm going to do mine later.
Okay. We're going to have 2 sessions of player control.
Yes.
First of all, for those handful of people that have ordered season 3 Run TMTs from Encore Custom, we had delayed the online store closure because we wanted to see if we can, get a few more orders in for our friend Neil and Encore. And so there was a delay in closing the store, and now there is a bit of delay in the production, but we do expect the shirts to be in by the second week of May. So thank you for your patience if you ordered a shirt. I do think they're going to be worth it, worth the wait. So hang in there. Shirts are coming soon-ish. And then also player control for me, Dave. On our last episode, we picked Final Four, and I don't know if we picked the Final Four for women, but I think I picked UConn women to win. Mm-hmm. And then I also on the air picked Arizona and Illinois, and on that as well. But I will say, Dave, and I was hoping you would mention this, but I'm going to have to mention it myself, that I did do one online bracket on ESPN, and I did send a snapshot to you, and I should have stuck with my original picks because I was in the top 0.5%.
Wow.
All entries.
Wow.
Michigan and UConn. I should have stuck with my initial picks. So anyway.
Way to go,
it's a player
Duff.
control that ends in a humble brag.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
That was very subtle. I like that. You made some shots. Good job.
Yeah. All right. You're welcome. All right. Let's get into our intro.
Okay. Yeah. Almost too good to be true. We were finally able to sit down with Eddie Joe Chavez, and you're not lying when you say that he's top. I mean, I think ultimately, if you asked 500 people in Marin who have basketball knowledge, who's the greatest, quick gun to your head, who's the greatest player in Marin County history, Eddie Joe Chavez would be the top answer on the Family Feud. He's just an absolute legend, but it goes beyond his ability on the court, and you'll see that and hear that as you listen to this interview. But we'll do the quick bio here because we should. We didn't do it in the interview. He grew up in the East Bay. He mentioned he moved to Marin as a young kid. His dad, Ed Chavez, an absolutely wonderful human being, a great athlete himself, an amazing teacher and coach in the county, had a huge impact on the county. His dad was a coach at TAM, and that drove the family to move over to Marin. Eddie Joe went to Drake, and to this day, his jersey's in the rafters. He's one of the greatest players to ever play in Marin. He graduated in 1974. His team made it to the Tournament of Champions at the Oakland Coliseum. That was before there were divisions in high school basketball in California. It was just one big mass, and the Drake team in 70. And I don't know if it was his 74 team, but over his time there, they made it to the TOC, which was huge. He was inducted into the Marin Athletic Foundation Hall of Fame in 1996. That's not a surprise. He went on to have a tremendous career at Santa Clara. He is, to this day, one of the leaders in Santa Clara history in assists. I believe Steve Nash eclipsed him. I think Eddie Joe is top 5 in overall assists, and I think number 2 in assists per game. He made the Santa Clara Hall of Fame in 1990. When he was at Santa Clara, he played with Kurt Rambis, Lakers legend, won multiple titles with the Lakers. And Eddie Joe's an absolute Santa Clara icon. He was actually drafted by the Houston Rockets in the 6th round of the 1978 NBA draft. He was 113th player picked overall. Duff, other players picked that year: Larry Bird, Michael Thompson, Phil Ford, Reggie Theus.
I've heard of them.
All famous players. By all accounts, so we didn't get into this in depth with EJ because I think it's something he doesn't love to talk about. But we've had multiple people say he should have made the team and was really going to make the team. He didn't make it for a couple political reasons, we think, like owner, new player, some of these sort of...
Tell us the details, Dave.
Oh,
had to do with the Dunleavy, right?
It had to do with Dunleavy. So anyway, he really should have and could have been an NBA player and probably would have been a really productive NBA player. But he went on to play pro ball for 20 years overseas. He played in 6 of the 7 continents. He didn't play in Antarctica because I don't know if they have any gyms in Antarctica. Had a cup of coffee with the Celtics in a training camp at one point in the 80s with Bird, Walton. We talk about that briefly. But then most famously, in 1992, at I think the age of 36 or 38, EJ made the Panama national team, and they played in an Olympic qualifier against the greatest basketball team ever assembled, the 1992 USA Dream Team. Bird, Magic Johnson, Jordan, Barkley, Pippen, David Robinson, Karl Malone. I mean, it was just a joke of how good a team that was. And Eddie Joe took his Panama team and played against him in a qualifier in Portland. The Dream Team beat him handily, but if you watch that game, and it's on YouTube, and we will put it in the show notes, Eddie Joe hits the first 3 of the game. He ends up hitting 4 threes. He's guarded closely by Magic, and at one point, the USA team switches Jordan over to guard him because Magic couldn't guard him. So this was just one of the most iconic moments in Marin basketball history. I remember being in the Drake gym in 1992 in the summer when this happened, and it was just everybody was abuzz about the fact that Eddie Joe played great against the Dream Team. It was really cool.
Yep, it was amazing. So Chris Mullin led the U.S. team in scoring in that game, 19 points.
That's right. And again, we talk about this with EJ. You know, we could have gone way deeper. He's very humble, and he doesn't like to talk about himself. So we didn't want to, turn him off by asking him how great he was, because he wants to talk about other people and his teammates. But I did find the UPI article at the time, the national article about the game, and they mentioned that one of the things they say, without Eddie Joe Chavez, the Panamanians would have been hard-pressed to score early in the game. And they talk about the fact that the Americans then started to key on him, and that kind of changed the game, and the Americans ended up winning, by 50 or 60 points, something like that.
Yes, but I think, Dave, what Eddie Joe would say about your glazing of him at this moment is that it is, somewhat nefarious. And yes, it was very clear. You'll get this in the interview that he was not wanting to go into details about his own exploits. So, which of course, that's what you would expect of a GOAT like EJ.
So the words glazing and nefarious are both very apt when describing me. So I would like you, Duffy, to discuss something near and dear to your heart. So beyond all of his exploits as a player, Eddie Joe is all about basketball as a community. And his brother Buck, we've talked about Buck countless times. We had a joke that every episode we have to mention Buck. Here we go, Buck. Buck and Eddie Joe have just had, and their dad Ed and all the Chavezes have had such a huge impact on Marin basketball. I heard somebody mention them as the first family of Marin basketball. Why don't you talk about what they've done out in West Marin and Lagunitas and San Geronimo Valley?
Well, Dave, so we have been trying to arrange an opportunity to speak with Eddie Joe for a while, and he and I were texting back and forth, and we were maybe going to have breakfast at the hub, or late breakfast, lunch at the hub, and that didn't work out. So he invited us out to the Lagunitas gym at San Geronimo Valley Community Center there for a discussion during one of their runs, and they run on Monday and Wednesday. And in this interview, you'll hear the background noise, and EJ's he's interrupting. Not really interrupting, but he's taking a pause from the interview to go and arrange, the pickup games as they progress, and making sure that the teams are sorted out and everyone's behaving. And he's been doing this sort of thing for a very long time. And like his brother Buck, he has this wise Yoda-like type of presence. And the basketball gym really is, his church, and it's where he has complete control over what happens there, and there's a great deal of piety about the circumstances. So just amazing respect to him, and also his brother Buck, of course. It very similar when he's in a gym, and I think they both refer to it as church. And this particular church, and Dave, you educated me on this, I didn't realize that they helped spearhead the project to fund and build the church, also known as the gym. And they, as part of their fundraiser, apparently, they made 49,000 free throws over 49 hours of a fundraiser to help get the money needed to build the Lagunitas gym. So very cool. And we, at the very end of this interview, we talk a little bit with EJ about shooting free throws. So that's a little bit of a preview, but it seems apt that it was the free throws that built the church.
Yeah. So the county, the state, so there was money that was put into this project, but they were falling short. So Buck and Eddie Joe kind of raised their hand and said, we'll help and figure this out. And they, being the leaders they are, created a fundraiser, and they got all their family members. And by the way, when you get a group of Chavezes together, they're going to make some free throws. Family members and others, I think there were like 25, 30 people. And over the course of, a couple days, they just had a free throw marathon, and they made 49,000 free throws and raised a bunch of money to help finish the project. I believe the gym was open in 2009. And yeah, it's really cool. So Eddie Joe's there 3 days a week. He opens up the gym. He played in this game. We talk about this. He played in this game up until, less than a year ago, I think. And I think Eddie Joe's probably 70. We were doing the math.
Yeah.
Still looks great. But, it's not about him. It's about community. Just like on the court, he was sharing the ball. Just like in this interview, he didn't want to talk about himself. He's just selfless to a fault. But it was really neat to see the pickup game. And yeah, we were sitting down with him in the corner of the gym. And then every, 15 or so minutes, he's like, I'm sorry. And he gets out to midcourt and he organizes, makes sure that the people who are waiting have their team lined up. And he's just kind of organizing everything for people. Just all about the community.
Yep. Yeah, Dave, I never played against Eddie Joe in anywhere close to his prime. I think he was probably in his early 50s maybe when I started playing with and against him, both in adult leagues, but also there's the run at Drake, 8 a.m. run on Sundays that went on for a bunch of years. And then occasionally I would go out to that Lagunitas run, not a lot, but talk about gravity, his ability to attract the gravity of the defense anytime he was anywhere close to the basket within shooting range. I mean, just an amazing shooter. And I'm sure this was not the shot that he had shot as a young man, because a set shot, but quick release. We're talking about Al Horford, earlier, the catch high, shoot high.
Yep.
And I don't know, over the number of years I played with and against him, I don't know, probably 75, 80% accuracy on that. And also the ability, even though I think probably a couple knee replacements, I'm not exactly sure, but his body had been beaten up by many years of playing the sport, but he could still make the game go fast for his teammates, especially in the backcourt. And I saw him do something that, is now really typical across, the sport, which is like get the ball in, you're curling off of an inbound, you're taking one dribble, and then you're getting the ball off the sideline as fast as you can with the pass, and just exceptionally good at that. And this was, 15 years ago when you didn't see a lot of guys doing that at any level, but just so efficient at getting the ball up the floor and getting guys into positions where they could, potentially have an advantage.
The most fun player I've ever played with, Duff, don't take this personally, was Buck Chavez. I never played with Eddie Joe. I was on Buck's team many years ago in an adult league when I was in high school. And there was nobody better at finding the open player, building just a sense of cohesion on the floor with his teammates. He just was all about bringing everybody into the game. And I was a crappy high school player with no confidence. And I've mentioned this several times. He made me shoot the ball. And I would shoot it and miss, and he'd give it back to me and say, shoot it again, David. Shoot it again, David. And he knew that if I missed it, he would just get the rebound and dunk it. So it was fine. But that comes from, it was interesting talking to EJ. I mean, really, it all starts with Ed Chavez, their dad, who himself was an amazing athlete, but an incredible coach. So you watch Buck play, you watch Eddie Joe play, and by the way, you watch the next generation of Chavez's play, Neil and Skylar and Lukey. They all play the game the same. They just play hard. They play with their teammates. They're unselfish. It's all about winning. It's just incredible. They are truly the first family of basketball in Marin. It was so awesome to get Eddie Joe. I will say, here's my player control. So we mentioned a couple times, Eddie's humble, he's soft-spoken, he doesn't like to talk about himself, he's selfless. Basketball was very spiritual to him. I loved this part of the interview where he talks about kind of what you do out on the floor, that echoes to what you do in life, and it's sort of a metaphor for life. So be a good player on the floor, be a good teammate on the floor. You'll be a good person in life. It's kind of what he was saying. But I asked a couple questions that were just total dumb. Like I felt like Chris Farley on SNL. Like remember when. So I think I asked the question of he had a tryout with the Celtics and Larry Bird was on the team. And I think I basically said, what was it like playing with Larry Bird or watching Larry Bird? And he even said as he was walking away, like, did you just ask me what it was like to watch Larry Bird play? Like, is that the dumbest effing question in the world? So player control to me for being a total starstruck interviewer. Usually I thought I was pretty good at this. Not this time.
That was a hard-hitting question, Dave. You really you incised right into his deep frontal cortex there.
I'm making news. Hey guys, Larry Bird was good. Thank you. You're welcome for this expose.
The look on his face was pretty priceless.
It was pretty good. Yeah. It's pretty good. But he kept using the words rhetorical and nefarious. Like these are rhetorical and nefarious questions. So anyway, that's my player control. But it was so fun to sit down with Eddie Joe. Another player control.
I got one.
Go ahead. Yeah.
This is Eddie Joe might remember this, probably not. I remember. I do recall this because it was a moment for me. A moment when I was like, okay, I got to make sure I respect my basketball elders. And it was playing against Eddie Joe. And I think I'd kind of taken him into the paint a few times and jumped over him and made some shots in the paint. And it's back when I could jump just a little bit, Dave. And maybe the third time I did it, like I jumped up, took the shot, and then I landed, I believe, on Eddie Joe's knee, and it was in my crotch. And he said something along the lines of, be careful with all that jumping, youngster. And I was like, okay, all right, Yoda, all right. That's the message received. And so, yeah, respect your basketball elders. Now that I'm an elder, I say that with complete and utter 100% buy-in.
Absolutely. Youngsters, respect Duffy. Don't jump. Yeah. Eddie Joe is basketball Yoda. You know, you listen closely to what he says. He's a man of few words. You know, I joke, I fill up any space with words. Eddie Joe speaks sparingly, but the words that he says are meaningful and have portent. And he's one of one. Another little player control, or we apologize. The audio in this one is not great. We were literally in a gym with balls bouncing and a pickup game going on. That's the only time we could get Eddie Joe. So AI did its best to kind of filter out the noise. Sometimes it sounds like we're in space in a clean room where no sound, and then sometimes there's a cacophony in the background. So bear with us on the audio, but hopefully you can glean the words that Eddie Joe says, because his words are way more important than ours.
Yeah, I think it might have also slowed down our speech a little bit too, which is, so anyway, we weren't really talking that slow, but I think the alternative, which was to keep all the bouncing balls in there, and was probably less ideal. So anyway, we did the best. AI did the best it possibly could to clean up the audio. And I'm just happy that I survived the interview, Dave. There's one moment where a ball came rolling by, and I went to try and scoop it up, but I realized if I did, I was going to fall over. So the ball just went out the door outside. But we figured that out. We had a good laugh about it, and we kept going. We pressed on.
It's okay, Duff. Next play.
So
thank you, Eddie Joe, for joining us. I hope you listen to this because you were amazing. We would love to get Buck on as well. We'll keep working on Buck.
Man, like, Skylar, Lukey, we've had Neil on for a quick sort of, voice memo correspondence, but just such an impressive family. Just love the way they respect and play the game and think about the game. Truly the GOATs across this family, the GOATs of Marin County basketball. Just not any question about that.
Absolutely. All right, Duff, let's do it. Enjoy this discussion with Eddie Joe Chavez, and then hang out after. You'll hear some important words from our fabulous sponsors. And we're not done with season 3 yet. We'll keep it going. We've got a few more episodes. So thanks for listening.
Yep.
Did I do this part right?
You did great.
Exactly, Phil.
And we're in church. This is it.
It's a place of passion.
All right. How many years has this game been going on?
Well, the gym was 15 years old now. So that long. And we went from one night or one day, and then it jumped up to 3 years, three times.
3 times a week now.
Yeah.
Pick
and
up.
Then other events like the pickleball
Yeah.
We just strived in last 2 years ago as it evolved. Volleyball has its own momentum now. And yeah.
You were talking about how you basically people come, they sign up, they pay some money, they play pickup. You got women and men. It's just kind of inclusive. Anybody can play.
And I don't ever want to mince you in your words, but the pay for play,
Yeah.
it's a contribution.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
It really, and I really want to make that profound because
That's great.
if it helps me keep the lights on,
Sure.
it helps me refinish the floor. It just helps, right? And so anytime that they can participate that way, and some people really do.
Yeah.
Others, I don't depend for a second, but they all can. But that doesn't exclude them. It's just that was still somebody opened a gym for me way back in the day, and so I've always tried to further those kinds of symbols.
Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in West Marin or did you grow up in the city?
No, I was born over in Berkeley, and my father raised us over there, and
Yeah.
the avenues on the other side. And then he took a job at TAM, and that brought the family this way.
How old were you? Not happy.
Probably 8 or 9, and I came this way, this side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up playing hoops, where would you play?
Come from a locker room of boys, man. I mean, there's six of us, and then there would always be that many more. So
6 Chavez boys. What number are you? Are you
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest?
Yeah.
Okay. And you were the best player, right?
So my younger brother Greg is the best athlete, I think.
Really? Better than you and Beck?
Absolutely.
Did you play Drake?
He did. After a tragedy took off his leg, they reattached him,
Yep.
and he went on to play on that varsity team and run cross country.
Wow.
After the doctor said that I was right there, the doctor said there's no way we even walk.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So, yeah, my little brother Greg, by far the best athlete in my family. All of my brothers say that different. For different events and different athletics, and we all participated for all of our own reasons.
Right.
You didn't want that many boys in the house. I didn't want. Gosh,
Well, your dad was an amazing educator, coach, right?
he didn't get me to well up because my father was everything and more that we just said. He was an unbelievable mentor. He was an unbelievable father. He was an amazing coach.
Yeah.
You could probably find guys right now that would rather be sitting in this chair answering those questions because it's a tough swallow for me, but
Yeah.
he impacted a lot of youth in his efforts.
He was a great athlete as well. Your father?
Oh yeah.
Did he play with you growing up?
Oh, absolutely. He would, that was when he would throw me out into the fray, out there in South County or wherever there was a run that he could, make time for. Yeah. He would get at me.
Talk about South County. You've mentioned it to me before that, like, you mentioned when you heard we were doing this podcasting, you said, we got to talk about South County because that's really kind of the roots of Marin basketball. So talk about that.
Everybody got perspectives, David. I mean,
Yeah.
Mine changed because my father taught down there.
Yeah.
And coached down there. So in all that, I grew up playing.
In Marin City.
And at he opened TAM up to started that.
Yeah.
With George Gustafson and some guys from back in the day. All that being said, that is where I pretty much cut my teeth and getting out there with Honor Jackson. If I start doing names, Leroy Barrow, and all those guys back then, Warren Domino, that list is endless. But they tolerated me.
How old are you?
Yeah. I was,
Like 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
probably.
Yeah.
Because that's when we had to go. And my father said to go. I'd ride my bike over Camino Alta.
Yeah.
So
So when you got to Drake, as a freshman? Were you really good already?
No, I had real good teammates. I was 5'4",
Yeah.
walking a quarter, maybe.
Was Pete there?
Pete was, he was, Pete Haven was there. He was a freshman football coach.
Yeah.
JV basketball coach. Yeah.
So when did you get really good? Because you obviously,
Never, you're going to ask those questions, and I fail at that. That is, I've always thought that the team if they did well, then I was doing okay.
Yeah.
If the team excelled, I was well. But
okay, well, how about this?
not to mince your words again, Dave. How good, and that's all subjective stuff. I had great teammates, and I always professed to have to add great teammates in wherever I participated in, because then I was never going to, as an individual, get any. The team wouldn't get recognized.
So speaking of that, so back in the day, today we have all these different divisions. They break up schools by enrollment. Back then there was just a tournament of champions, right? And your Drake team went to the tournament of champions, right? And you beat a really good team. That must have been a pretty cool experience, right? Because that was
no question. That back then, and a lot of those guys I had the time to play against them in the East Bay.
Yeah,
but that was a great and wonderful experience. I'd been blessed to have great teammates, great community at the time, really supportive of our efforts to go over there.
Yeah.
Hate to make a comparison, but I think if you ask George Lewis, there were like high teens in the amount of buses that traveled out of the break parking lot to get there.
Yeah.
If there was some ball that was being played here in the county that was exemplary.
Yeah.
There was, if you could go up and down the county and find, I think at the time, Redwood, my first year out, my varsity experience, I think Redwood had 6, maybe 7 Division I players that were on their squad.
Like John Borrow and
Johnny and
Hero.
Jerry and Steve McGee and Danny Boy Elder, and I think one of the Troby brothers are on there, and I think there was a Hennessy on there.
Yep.
I hate to miss a name.
That's right.
Just to say, they were good, and there were other teams I was good, but the athletes and the ball that was happening in and around the county. I just mentioned that name. I could go up north and talk about Joe Castile and Dana LaFerriere and the power. Up in the Fowler and Moralski's. There were some ballers. There were some guys all up and down the town that were playing. And then they would come over and play at Drake on the weekend.
Well, I was going to ask. So what were the pickup runs like when you were in high school? Was Drake at that time, and this is the early 70s, so you were class of 74, right? So in the early 70s, was Drake kind of the mecca of pickup basketball like it became in the 80s? Or what was it?
I think, and again, I think it started there because you had a guy like Coach Hayward would open the gym.
Right.
And he would find himself a little nest, and he would keep a gym open. And so a lot of kids that could have been elsewhere were here or in the gym.
Yeah.
What happened in the 80s, not to sound like a bragger or boast, I think we were reflecting of what was going on earlier and how many kids were coming down to play out those outside courts. I think there was like 6, maybe 8 of them. And they would be packed on the weekend.
And you were out there?
Absolutely.
Of course.
I'd take my little brothers out there and get out there and run around, and then go down and play down at go down to Sweet Sensations and get an ice cream. I got to get the next game.
You get the next game going, you say?
Game 1 in the books. It was a little rugged, perhaps.
We have a couple questionable shot selection situations here, but
there's 10 here. You all sitting.
But it's a diverse crowd. I mean, this kind of captures West Marin, I would say, the group of people you have.
Yeah, so we got, I'd say, probably 20 people in the gym, 25. And you've got some high schoolers, you've got some old guys like us.
Hey, Finn, hold the ball for a sec.
It's a beautiful gym. I mean, just look at the rafters, Dave. It's awesome. And the windows looking up at the ridge line. Hey, never mind. People are not
can you hold the
around.
ball,
See a lot
please,
of,
so we get this going?
sliding. Someone must have taken care of the floor recently.
We'll see, Matt.
BJ is organizing the next
Bill was 21.
next game.
So I'm figuring 11 to him. Sorry.
All right, we got
Good.
EJ back.
You got to do your job.
My job happened already. This is benevolent. This is my passion.
All right. So back in your Drake days, who were your big rivals? Like who were the
Every team was good.
and he was good.
Every team. And we just lost a lot of great MC guy, Gary Johnson.
Oh yeah. Andy's sad.
Andy's father.
Yes.
Yeah. And Pete's father.
Yes.
And Mo's. Yeah.
Yes. Andy's a good friend. Peace.
Yeah. The 10th is his friend celebration.
Yes.
But no, and some of my friends from Marin Capital, brand new Dash, the Bill Rileys. And again, if I start mentioning all the names that have gone on and not around anymore, but yeah, they're just, they were very good, and they were good teams and good ballers throughout the town. It was really an exceptional time, and I think that had a lot to do with the community support. The CYO programs were started up, and there were just people and guys playing all the time. And if not just that sport, but it seemed to be the one that was of notice.
What's the age difference between you and Buck?
He's fourth of my brother.
Okay.
So probably 5 to 6 years.
So I know you.
Buck
You
will
know,
tell you he's 29, but
he's still.
I'm 35.
So many people. You won't want to hear this, but many people, as we ask several people about the greatest players in history in Marin, your name always comes up, and Buck's name often comes up, particularly just the greatest pickup players. You guys are just legends, not only because you were really talented, but because you're really fun to play with. You play the game the right way, share the ball, and watching you play, in Santa Clara and in your pro career. I mean, you just play the game the right way. Where did you learn that? Was that instinctual to you? Was that your dad? Like, how did you know just to share the ball, be all about team?
That's my father.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without no hesitation.
Yeah.
Stretch Ron, you're going to get in the next one. Okay. No, the next game. Not, let me know. No, again, sorry. It's my father. He taught the right way. His influences were correct. And that which you gleaned from when you're paying attention, you didn't have to question. It was just absolute. It was, it's how it should have always been.
The other thing about you and Buck, I played on Buck's team one time in adult league when I was in high school, and I was not a very good player, and he insisted on me shooting the ball, and I didn't want to, and he would make me shoot. Mm-hmm. He was a teacher on the floor. Mm-hmm. He was a coach. He was a mentor. That's how you are. So that also obviously extends from your father, as we talk about him. Like, not only are you guys great players, but you cared about your teammates and making them better. It's really cool.
I think metaphorically, what you do, what you're talking about, what you do on the court should reflect.
Yeah.
And often it's a challenge for me out in the real world. Because here in the comfort zone, I like to think that I can do what I do when I cross this threshold and carry on some of the ideologies that my father did.
So when you go to college, so how'd you choose Santa Clara?
I told my father about this. I was confused, as a lot of 17 and 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
I know where he went to school because you throw out that word legend. He went down there, man. He played 3 sports. It was good, very good.
Yeah.
But that was back in the day when there was recruiting and you could travel and go from one school to the next. There was no, I think now it's down to 6.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
And then you have to commit. The coaches could come and talk to you, and and Carol Williams and
At Santa Clara.
yeah, she's just a solid person.
Yes.
You know, I mean, even we go to games now together, and he'd talk to you about fishing and
Right.
and how's your family and then, but he'll definitely, don't get it twisted, he'll carry on about basketball, but
Yeah.
you know, he'll tell you, you know, how he feels about this person and
Yeah.
how they're good keeper and stuff. All that being said, too, I was blessed. There was a lot of people throwing intense at me, you know, and I took too many trips, and I was finally just said, let me just go down the way here.
Yeah.
You know, and it was wonderful. I still have some of I talked to my teammates stuff and down.
So you're Santa Clara Hall of Fame. Are you the all-time leader in assists or up there?
There was this guy that came along a little bit later.
Steve Nash, maybe?
Yeah.
I've never heard of him. I don't like him.
As long as you do broadcasting, maybe listen. I still have one record. I
Okay.
don't know if he has any eligibility left, but I don't think he and I got any NIL money or anything.
Yeah.
There's one record that he hasn't. And I was only reminded of that a little bit ago about a
Okay,
guy.
what's the record?
For one game, how many assists?
Yeah.
So I was,
Oh,
Not
man.
bad. Yeah.
I don't know. That's what the guy just said, because we still got one.
Okay. So you had a pretty good teammate at Santa. You had several good teammates at Santa Clara, but one of them is named Kurt Rambis. Is that right?
Sure, man. Yeah.
Played for the Lakers.
I
Won a couple titles.
he
Really good goggle game.
Yeah. Were the goggles going in college?
He was rocking the goggles. We had a couple guys that had the same stigmatism that he had back then. And we worked through that. There was a couple of embarrassing no-look passes that I threw to him and so we had to have that communication.
Right.
And I enjoyed Kurt. He's another genuine person. And there were guys back there, you know, again, the league was tremendous.
Yeah. So who were some of the notable players you played against in college where you remember thinking, man, that guy was pretty good?
Well, I think practices were as tough and not tougher than the games.
Yeah.
I mean, we had guys it was a transitional time. That time that I was coming in, and there's 5 of us that were coming in. There were 5th and 6th year seniors. It was a JV program or a Frost Saw. That was still profound. And then it got gone. I mean, making something that you guys might remember, there's a guy named Lou Alcindor.
Oh yeah.
Who Bill Walton didn't get to play with because of that speed bump that the NCAA had created.
Who else in this crew? Abdul-Jabbar for our younger listeners.
Also a good goggle game as well. Good goggle game.
So in saying all of that, transition in the NCAA was tough.
Yeah.
My time in there and going away in my first year, I'm pretty sure Pepperdine won the league and USF is pretty good.
I was going to ask about USF.
And it was Pepperdine who had this guy. I remember the scouting report, and they were literally scouting reports.
Yeah.
We had film, but it was that real stuff.
Right.
And so coach said, okay, you're guarding, you know, they go down the lane. They had a kid named Leite from Brazil, Marcus Leite. They had a kid named, they had players, a kid named Sculphammer, and they had the names, they had real good teams.
Yeah.
My coach, Terrell, he goes, okay, and you're guarding that guy. I said, coach, that guy's a champion center. And then they called him helicopter, and that was Dennis Johnson, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And so in and throughout the league, and I make note of that, there were players, every team had players that were going into the league. USF, I think like my senior year, had 6. Reno had 3. The Running Rebels of Vegas were in the league. They had ballers. So you could go. Then there was the Pac-12, and there was us, and the West Coast, and we would play Stanford and Berkeley.
Did you play UCLA?
And UCLA.
Yeah.
And we lost to them down there I remember the losses when we lost down there. They had Hamilton and Ray Townsend was on that team.
This was after Wooden, right? Or was Wooden still there?
Might have been Mr. Williams last year.
Okay.
It was after their streak.
After their 10 titles.
Yeah. I think Shiki Vanderway.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Up and throughout the coast, but I think then league champions went to the tournament. And I think there was 16 teams.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Am I dating myself?
Yeah, that's great.
So,
It's a different,
I think it was pretty much like that.
different time.
I think they just made it 92 teams.
I think now, I think if you know where the sporting goods shop is, you can get.
You can qualify.
Yeah.
Kind of like NCS high school too, right?
Yeah.
So did you guys make the NCAAs ever?
No.
Yeah.
That
It was really hard to do.
number one team in the nation was USF. So once they were 7, once they were number 1, we lost to them twice.
Is that like Phil Smith?
Phil, I played with Phil my first year out of high school. And there we puddle jumped. Dave, you should know that there was a league that was then turned into the Pro-Am that out of Drake,
Yeah.
you could go over to Drake High School and see 3 games a night. And my team, the team that I was on, had Phil Smith. Joe Smith was his cousin, who was an All-American over at College of Marin.
Yeah.
Roosevelt Breed, who was another All-American. Penagakis was there was great ballers from Marin.
Yeah.
They were going over there and playing. And I had Byron Stewart, myself, and Snake Jones.
Oh, wow.
And the O'Brien brothers. And we had a squad, but the other teams, NCAA back then, I think gave 2 players from each team could come down and play in the league. And any European pros or pro could play. So Kevin Johnson played in the league.
Yeah.
And, again, the name thing.
Oh, we've
Legendary.
talked about that. When I was a kid in the early 80s, I would go watch you play, and that was
so then
formative years.
Then you knew the reason that you could go there and that place would be packed. And you could go there and the support from the community would also being generated from the guy who kept that gym open.
Yeah.
And it was matriculated all through the community.
Absolutely.
Kids just wanted to play ball. And I couldn't believe I was fucking stupid out there with a guy who just won the NBA championship.
Right.
And I'm going, no, you don't have to throw me the ball ever.
What team were you on? Were you on Sweet Sensations?
No, Sweet Sensations had Jeff and
Mike
they had Michael, but they had a bunch of guys. Larry was an amazing recruiter. And they had some guys.
Larry Fulton. Yep.
Yeah, they had some guys out there that were.
So who'd you play with? You played with your brother. Played with Buck.
Buck was still too young to play. Yeah, he played in the high school league that would go on before that. And so that was my senior year when that thing.
Yeah. How many total estimate the number of seasons you played in adult league with Buck? An event? Because I remember one memorable game. We had a really good squad. You guys only had 4. It was you, Buck, Neil, and Lukey, and you beat us. And I've now admitted that on the podcast. But you played together for so many years, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, sure. And whenever that was, I apologize for mistreating you guys. But the thing about playing then, and it was because that's kind of like what was done. I mean, you guys had a squad, and from wherever you guys gathered, that's where we would participate.
Right.
So I understand. I mean, there were other teams in that league that you probably played with that were competitive. And to me, it was just great that we all could cooperate and find ourselves in the gym rather than Fairfax Parquet.
So you got drafted in the NBA. And then you played what? How many continents did you play pro ball on? Or you played all over the world.
Very fortunate.
I mean, it's incredible that you travel the world playing basketball.
You said it perfectly. I could never understand how playing in 4th period PE could get you to play in Israel, in Sweden, and in Australia, and also, every continent except Antarctica.
So 6 or 7, that's not bad.
So, and not only that, it was just the people that I got to spend time with, and and using basketball as a passport, I still have friends that call me and I treasured from the Philippines, uh, from Latin America and from from everywhere.
Do you have a favorite place that you played overseas? Favorite team?
Oh, man. Justin, that's a tough one because that discounts a lot. And a favorite, I treasured each country for what they brought me.
Yeah.
I mean, I played Taiwan, was amazing time over there playing with, in the Jones Cup. Calcutta, what an eye opener playing in India and getting to travel from there after the tournament.
Played in Greece, right?
Played all over, dude.
So are you not then surprised how good the international players are? I mean, the NBA now is really dominated by non-American players, right? Is that surprising to you, or is that did you see
now,
that coming?
no, when I was playing, I was amazed at the stature and the physicality.
Yeah.
But I did not see it take such an amazing flip flop.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to jerk
Go
in
ahead.
on that
Yeah,
one.
go for it. We're on to the
How'd that
third
go,
game.
Jamil? I could probably do this without a board.
I happen to be sort of keeping track there, Dave. There's one player out there. You know what his missed shot to pass ratio was in that game from what I
You did,
He's someone
you didn't count
who wasn't afraid to let it fly.
Ron's in,
on unofficial count,
but
because
you
I was
didn't
kind of
count
watching both
Ace, right?
Eddie Joe as
Yeah.
well as the game. But it was 6 missed shots to 1 pass.
Okay.
Not assist, but 1
Hey, all
pass.
you guys sat or won the game before?
And 0 made shots.
Not Eddie Joe.
You had sat?
Right. And he told us, Dave, before we started recording, that up until 6 months ago, he was still out here playing.
Yeah.
Some rotator cuff, maybe with the shoulder or something.
Yeah, we were doing some math. We think Eddie J
guys
is
figured
probably
this out?
70-ish.
Looks fit.
Looks amazing.
Looks fit.
All hit one rim,
Now we have
right?
people doing the age-old ritual of
Shooting free throws to make
shooting free throws to
see
get
who's who gets to play the next game.
Swish. That should be in right there. Oh boy. Seal O'Neal made his free throw, ironically.
Jamil, is your team?
Kind of makes you want to get out there and run a little bit, doesn't it, Dave?
Which one?
Definitely.
Which one?
This one.
All right, let's go. We're team one, right? Yeah. Drea, you're outside?
Yeah.
Let's go, fellas. People waiting. Let's go. Alex, I think this is yours, right? I got your ball. Put this over there.
All right, we
It's pretty good. What is it? This is third game, and you started at quarter 2.
It's fair.
After, so we'll probably get 4 games an hour.
that's a good metric because you want to get 4 games in an hour.
Well, again, you got to treasure your possessions. You got 7 buckets and it's done. And then
So the games are to 7 by ones, and
Yeah.
defense calls fouls.
as they have been.
Yes.
And straight up.
So there's a level of
And
integrity.
they'll hold one another, and they're supposed to. Because that indemnification is just a bunch of words.
Right.
They got to maintain some kind of poise here.
Yep.
Because most of these people have to work from
Right.
We wanted to ask you, you played point guard at Santa Clara, and you played point guard for the against Dream Team, the Panama national team. But I'm sure when you traveled around, you played some shooting guard as well, because you're an amazing, exceptional shooter. Did you prefer playing shooting guard or point guard?
Thanks. That was a great question. It's hardly a control issue with me. I like to get the involvement of all. The distribution of the ball is important to me because I believe that a team game, you can excel if everybody gets touches. But someone out of high school, I don't know that we were with positions. We all played. You played 92 feet.
Yeah. Right.
That's how we played. And so whoever got the rebound was always looking up ahead and trying to get everybody involved. I learned how to play that way. The point guard position, I don't even think I was, even back when I went to Santa Clara, was even a point guard. There was a kid that was recruited there to play point guard as well. But to me, it was just, you rebounded and it did all the things that you had to do to be part of what's going on. He's okay. He's got a button-down shirt on and socks that don't match, so he can be all right.
I think he's okay.
Yeah. He's running on a different kind of energy.
Yeah, we had a dramatic tumble.
To get at you, Dusty, the thing is, being a point guard was sometimes more of a coach's decision than mine, and whatever. I just wanted to participate. And when the games that you mentioned, sure, I was, there were 2 or 3 other kids in that hyped up Olympic effort. So there were other kids that could play point guard when I was there.
So we got to ask you about that experience playing against the dream team. We all were watching. I was thinking about this as I was driving over here, Eddie. In 1992, when you played that game, so Marin, we live in Marin, right? We're part of the Bay Area. The Bay Area is a big city. San Francisco is a big city. It's a metropolitan area that people come from all over the world. It feels like we're part of a big city. But then when you represented Panama, our favorite son from Marin against the dream team, it felt like we were part of a small town and everybody was just pulling for you. It was just a really cool moment. And I remember being in the Drake gym that summer playing in the high school summer league, and everybody's talking about how Eddie Joe hit a couple of threes against Magic and Michael, and it was just amazing. So first of all, thank you for doing that, because that made me feel like we were part of a small town, which was really cool. And that was an amazing performance. Talk about that.
Not pausing for effect or anything. It just, I'm most at ease in a gym.
Yeah.
That particular event was hyped beyond comfortability for a lot of guys that I was playing with, and a lot of people that were there to watch what was going to transpire. So I get it. And then again, to me, if you're breathing the same air, you can participate as best you can in almost anything that you're comfortable in participating. I was fortunate enough to play against a lot of those, not those particular guys, but some of those guys in other events in the World Games and other places. So it was great that time had its place in participation, but I wish that we could have, as you kind of alluded to, represent even it better, because there was a lot of guys that was the first time experience for them. I probably shouldn't have been playing that long. I mean, I was in, I think I was 88.
Well,
so it was a different thing.
So Duffy, I love Duffy's question about you point guard versus shooting guard, but like in that game you watched, particularly that first quarter, clearly it's a big stage. You were not nervous. At least it didn't seem like you were nervous. You wanted the ball. You brought it up. Magic Johnson is guarding you. You were unfazed. You hit the first 3 of the game. It got to the point where you hit a couple threes, then Magic started really guarding you. And then they switched Michael onto you at some point, but you wanted the ball. You wanted to bring the ball up against these guys. You weren't afraid.
I think I want to say, yeah, I don't discount my want and will to want the team to do well. And at that point and where I was, I was the guy that should have been bringing the ball up.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it as my confidence in my abilities at the time mentally were on my fleet. Physically, I really couldn't do a whole lot. We had 5 more games in that tournament.
Yeah.
Cuba was in our bracket, and I think Canada was. I don't know. Maybe you remember, but maybe you paid more attention to the U.S. We were all in the same group.
Right.
So if we had gone on, we would have had to play others, and the tournament would have had to continue, and I'd have been challenged by that. Right then, the challenge was to try to do whatever I could do to get my squad to do better.
Yeah.
We were doing pretty good. And then
Was there a moment during that game where you thought you were going to win that game against the Dream Team?
Well, and Duff, I don't mix your words. I go there with the thought to make it as cooperative and as fun for everybody that's participating. And there were times I lost my mind out there. Charles Barkley ran into me unconditionally. And I wasn't really wanting that to happen. He was okay with it. He cussed out the referees. I remember a lot of things that didn't make it fun. But then again, there was some things that looked like the U.S. team was having pretty fun out there with the crowd. And they were performing for that crowd.
Right.
I just wish our guys could have and would have, and they should have, and they probably to the day will tell you that it was never about me or where you were watching it in Dave.
Yeah.
It was about me trying to get, if they're going to sag off, I'm going to do it. You know, if my guys were open, I'm not getting the haul. There it is. We did well for a moment. We did better during the tournament.
You guys won 2-3 zone against 3-2. Another side.
Well,
Which I don't disagree with. Why not?
I don't, that was the coach's decision.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind guarding whoever you got to guard.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the coach's decision, and that's fine.
Speaking of coaches, so as you look back on your career, you played all over the world, played for a lot of great coaches. Which coaches had the biggest impact on you? Let's take your dad out of it. Aside from your dad, who obviously was the biggest one, were there any coaches where their style really resonated with you? They really got the most out of you, you think?
There were some assistant coaches at Santa Clara.
Yeah. We like to hear that. Assistant coaches.
Duffy and I are both assistant coaches.
Yeah.
So you're
Well, yeah.
speaking the choir. We like this
head
answer.
coach that thinks they got it going on, they're ready to commit suicide.
Right.
Because you should really should know about those that assist, and they should really be the communicators for what's going on out there, because it's just a lot to handle.
Yeah.
But the stuff, again, it gets to be that name game. I went down and visited one of my assistants, Coach Dick Levy, down there at
Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah.
down at Santa Clara, and most recently he's going through some strife. And I mean, tremendous person.
Yes.
You know,
Great coach.
Great coach, a great catcher at Stockton up at UOP.
Yep.
I mean, he again brought a toughness and a sincerity to the game that made me appreciate that I was even allowed to be able to listen to guys like that.
Yeah.
There are a ton of guys that I learned from, and it was by osmosis, you know, and learn to listen better. So I hate to, again, put any one name. I just, when guys like, I learned from some of the negative coaching that I experienced about what I would never do as a coach.
That can be very instructive.
And I learned real well from some guys, you know, that lost their mind. And I just said, hey, okay, I'll remember that and never do that to any kid ever.
So did you played for the Celtics for a minute? Is that right?
I got to try out back there. There you go. Dave Collins was a great coach at the time. And so, you know, my time out there I was more marveled about how people could survive in Boston than
It's cold.
than the basketball.
The drivers, my goodness.
Just the whole cultural experience.
So was this
little different than
was Bird on the team when you were?
Bird was Bird was very much the team. I was just a non-looker.
What was it like seeing him go about his business?
I would go to the games all that we could, and yeah, it was. I mean, you know, that's a rhetorical question.
It is.
I mean,
yeah.
Guys like that, and the league the way it was, playing against those 15 in that one game. So
yeah,
there's no doubt. So with a really, really good basketball player.
Yeah.
It's time again. I got to go.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What did you just ask me? How's it watching Roman?
That last game was a much better game. That last one
was that the nefarious part of the interview you're talking about?
You know what, God, Brand.
Yeah.
Nefarious. Come on.
Just throwing the weird questions out. Okay, no more nefarious rhetorical questions.
Yeah.
Nefarious and rhetorical. That's my middle name.
Yeah. It's right between those ears. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Have you coached teams?
Yeah, I've been blessed to get, had opportunities to do that as well. Yeah.
Are you a better head coach or assistant coach?
The head coaching job, like I say, I enjoyed it, but the assistant, because the head coach is there.
Yeah.
As assistants, I would sit between the players,
Right.
and make sure that they were as engaged in the game as they should be. Too often I see that if you go to a high school game, the mimicry of the high school game, and you got to get the kids, to be engaged. And the only way to do that, because sometimes the kids are here and then they bring that crazy energy into a game,
Right.
where there should be more of a calming effect. And if the assistant coach participated, at the bench, then I feel a long effort to a throat question. I really enjoy sitting with the kids,
Right.
going, hey, this is what's going on out there, and you tell me. As an assistant coach, I used to have an egg timer. I said, look, I'm going to go down and tell this knucklehead, because you're going to go in there for 3 moves.
Right.
And we talked about it, and on your mark, get foot. When I turn around, I'm going to turn that egg timer over. And they would go in again. So selfishly, I would use my time with the head coach to say, now that kid's ready to play.
Right.
And he's on a timed game. And it really meant the world to do that.
So at the peak of your powers, at the peak of Buck's powers, you guys play one-on-one. Who'd win it?
We used to play that game where you played, the guy that makes it, then the next you have to take it out, get like one dribble.
Yes.
But I don't ever remember my brother and I just going at it. And if we did, the totem pole is what it is. She got better after I left.
Yeah.
And so, we got really, really good. I'm playing alongside him. I recognize that when you're over in the Pro-Am. And I played over there for too long. And I just knew, like, sometimes we'd be in the backcourt. I'd go, hey, Buck, I'll take Jason, you take Gary.
Yeah, that's Kid and Peyton. By the way, Kid.
And I could say that with a believability.
Yes.
That I could say, this might be a thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I will say it's been really fun in the last, 10, 15 years to watch Buck's kids play too.
Well, there you go.
I mean, Skylar, Luke, there's some great, great players.
Yeah. Yeah.
They play like Chavez's.
Well, yeah. And, Bill, right there, Neil and his willingness to play, and the way those kids and my other nephews, they all comport themselves, pretty proud of them. Some have really battled through some stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
But they all do well like that. And I think that's that whole food with free kind of thing.
Yeah.
We learned it, how well we were able to communicate it.
Yes.
I'm pridefully my family means not. Thank you for recognizing.
Well, they're great. They're great people. I mean, we played adult league with Neil. He's a great guy. Skylar's such a great guy. Luke's amazing. I mean,
Luke's battled through some stuff, and now he's coaching
great.
With Coach Pribble and
made the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
awesome.
when you look at that and you talk about that hometown influence, my heart skips a beat because, I got to talk to Lukey, right before the tournament and, kidding them about getting me some swag and, but still the truth is that kid, his willingness to want to play after what he rattled through. And, I don't even know if he wants that kind of stuff even pronounced, but he's just that kind of a kid, He's not blessed with incredible ability and jumping and, athleticism. But man, you put his mind or his head or something out here, he makes every one of these kids just, wake up and go, oh, that's how you play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
much time in the gym, right? And then you can just tell he just played a lot of basketball, both with guys who taught him how to play, but also on his own, learning his skill set
look at his friends from that championship season that we had over there at Drake. And those kids, the Kenilvorts, not Otter and Otter family. And you will find that go up and down that line, there were influences, a community there, a familiar support, and it wasn't as divisive as it is now, as you guys may know. And I'm not throwing a banner up there like I'm the only one that says this, but the turnover, things that go on there, the miscommunication between the overzealous parenting, and hey, I don't know if I was just blissful and really innocent and didn't pretend to understand it, but I knew that what was amazing about the community and the parental support, you could tell by how many people were showing up for those gyms on those Friday nights. And I've been over there, and I hate to compare and contrast because everything is different. Yeah. But man, I'm sure there's some parents that really enjoy that sport with the kids that are involved. That it seems that there's a lot more that are described.
Yes.
And if I'm lying, please go ahead and call me because I'll apologize. I'm bending knee.
We don't disagree.
Yeah.
No, it's not isolated one school. It's
endemic.
It's endemic. It's a virus. It's a human virus.
Yeah. And I think
taking over youth sports.
A lot of it's club sports are expensive, and so parents are spending a lot of money, so they have this sense of entitlement, and there's a lot of issues.
Well, it's tough to put that in one's perspective, but what I don't get is how I can't sit here and be effective of what's going on out here. And I would expect each of these guys to comport themselves. And absolutely make it such so when there's a young one in the gym that they're not cussing.
Right.
And if a kid asks them something, they answer the kid with the best intentions that they can. And I don't know what kind of day they have. I imagine they didn't all have great days.
Right.
But they better have the best time of their day here. They just have to.
Yep.
So it's an equitable thing. Why be mad all the time? Why be divisive? There's too much of that going on everywhere all the time.
I think you'll probably agree with me, EJ, that by the time you get to your 50s and you can still play basketball, you realize just coming out and playing basketball and being able to play is a gift and a joy, and you should, enjoy every moment of it, even if you are horrible and turn the ball over and don't make a shot, but just being out here.
Why were you looking at me when you said horrible, turn it over and not make a shot?
But some of the, some younger players, they come in to the gym and they get more angry over the course of the day. Yeah. An outing.
Yeah. And I get it. But then also I get it. There has to be some places. I will talk to Matt about that, but you just saw. There has to be a place for that and then not for that.
Right.
And if you find yourself doing it, he'll have a conversation. And it might be where there's not too much of a conversation. He'll have to listen. And I'll take him right out. And it's not a brag or boast. It's just that that's how you should be. It shouldn't have to happen until you're 50.
Right.
But I get it. Because right now, the discounting of the younger thoughts and the discounting of the elders, there's just a real parting going on here. So, I don't know. I don't want to solve all world problems right here, but I think reflectively, you can go ahead and say that what you do out here when you think you're going to lose your mind and you can control it, then you're a better person for it. The community would be. And certainly you would be as an adult. And certainly reflectively, you could be that if you had any kind of influence on a child.
Beautiful.
Life training.
Beautiful thought. Duff, I think we've taken up enough of EJ's time. You have any other questions for him?
Well, I want to go back to the Olympics just for a moment, if we can. Better defender, Magic or Michael?
Those nefarious rhetorical.
Here we go. I didn't ask it for the record.
Yeah.
They're both listening, by the way.
I think one of them, I'm not going to say which one, but one of them was the defensive player of the year that year, one of those two. So I don't know. So that's subjective.
We can
Right.
watch the tape. We can
You
watch
can,
the
yeah,
tape.
you go back and watch. Yeah, flop that tape. You know, it's oh.
Duffy Duffy would be a
Sorry,
very
man.
bad goalie.
I thought we had that conversation over there. It's good that the gym now is rolled. I never thought one was going to be rolling at you, and you
Ball was coming at Duffy, and he
you
just
missed it
missed
by
it.
4
I
feet.
almost went down
He
there.
whiffed it.
If you don't mind,
I don't mind. Make it not nefarious or rhetorical.
and also in selecting that team, how did the team come together for Panama? And was Buck in the mix to maybe be on that team as well?
Buck had played with me in some international events with Panamanian
Okay.
influence before. I mean, that he was, I think, contractually committed to another team. And I think he might have been on the border. He might have been in Mexico at
Okay.
the time. How that team and others were put together, how the U.S. team was put together, I don't know. I would only guess that Christian Laettner had something to do with it. But how
And not Isaiah Thomas. Yes.
I say and how the Panamanian team, it was out there. The invitations were out there, and like our other tournaments, what we play in, they were a Q&A. Are you available? Can you come down and play this? And so at that time, I'd been asked earlier, and so I made sure with the team that I was affiliated with knew that I was going to go and play with that particular town. Yeah. There's the Pan Am games, the Central American games, they're called Central Basket. There were all kinds of other tournaments that I played in that were still, that you had to get to that one. Yeah. That's how we got. Buck played with me in the Hapoel games in Israel, where we played against Spain and I think Tavi Tel Aviv and maybe one other team and a 4-team thing that if you did well or you got recognized, then the people would say, "Oh, that team should be playing at the next level."
Yeah.
Because and not all the players that were asked to come to that particular tournament could come to it. I think Rolando Blackman, who was playing with Dallas at the time,
Great player.
couldn't make it.
Oh, really?
So it's a great question. How it happens administratively, there's always, I don't know how each federation pulls their plans.
Go differently. Yeah.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure that every federation has their protocol and how they pull up. How they do it now, it's even more confusing.
I'm sure.
I couldn't even pretend to guess because I don't know. Back then that was the first time anybody actually raised their hand that said, "Okay, all of you guys that got paid for playing, we're going to do that here," and thus you had that team.
Right.
Before that, there was a lot of guys that were getting paid to play that were out there playing in the world. So I don't know. I don't know how more mysticism than anything.
Do you enjoy watching basketball? Like, do you watch college, pro, high school?
I'll go when my friends call me. They'll say, "Hey, like last night, I got called to go." I think I got called because they said, "Hey, you bring the shrimp. I'll get the barbecue going." Let me watch some of the Warriors game and some of the games that were on for the tournament.
Yeah.
So but I still do watch it now. I don't pretend to guess that I even know what's going on out there. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what walking is. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to dribble the ball anymore.
Yeah. The carrot.
Yeah. I just,
It's a little different. I mean, I will say you would thrive in today's game. Like the actions that teams run now, the things that are become kind of the standard things that you were doing back in the day. A lot of movement, a lot of cutting, dribble handoffs, those kind of things. Like being crafty with the ball. You were so good at that.
Again, thank you. But the game has changed not only in the stature,
Yeah.
where somebody of my stature could do what I was doing,
Right.
and that was okay. And now it's almost an expectation to having to do that at a much more athletic flip. I mean, these guys are 6'7" and 6'8".
Yeah.
That
EJ, how tall are you? 6'2", 6'3"?
I suppose I would not even
Yeah.
have to line me down or make a mark on the
6'3.5" with the beanie, 6'3".
We'll go 6'3". Okay. Well, we end all of our discussions with what we call crunch time, where we ask a bunch of quick, dumb questions. You ready? You're going to love these. These are not nefarious or rhetorical. What is your favorite gym?
I'd say TAM before they changed it.
Okay.
I
great answer.
I enjoyed that one. Santa Clara went through its changes.
So go in. Or at least I was.
That's changed.
Yeah.
It's gone through metamorphosis over there as well. But I really enjoyed TAM. As we all awed at that last shot, I think Ron
That guy can
played
ball.
Annalee, and they were one of the teams that beat. He was one of the guards that beat that team, the Fulton Tenable,
Oh, really?
and he was of Annalee.
He can shoot it.
I don't know if he could shoot it back then, but
We've seen him in adult league, and he's been able to shoot it in adult league.
He's very good.
yeah.
Okay. Favorite restaurant?
Oh.
Marin.
Marin.
Marin
You've
restaurant?
been all over the world. We don't want to know.
Area.
We don't want to know a place in Greece. We want a place that we can go to here.
Wow. Gotta be Joe's. It's got to be down there, Centerfield Joe's. Although I don't eat out enough to be a food critic.
That's all right.
It's all personal preference.
Pretty much. Yeah. I know that I can do the ingredient plans at Joe's, but you know what? The real best kept secret on that, there's an upstairs, and you got to go through a parking lot or another restaurant to get to it.
Yeah.
Upstairs, and they make a great pizza
Oh, the Center Cells?
in Centerfield.
Yeah, Oliver's.
Oh,
It's great. Yeah.
wow.
I just went there. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Good call. Del, you got a crunch time question for EJ?
Your favorite place on the floor to shoot the ball from? If you ever the one spot that you just love to shoot from.
Gosh. Got to be a free throw. Got to be a free throw with 10,000 people screaming.
Love it.
That's got to be the best.
Love it.
When you put up there to go ahead and make sure that the team's got it going on, make sure that,
Well, question. How many free throws do you think you shot in your life, roughly?
Gosh, yeah. I know this about the ones I didn't get to shoot, because Jerry Pirro told me I couldn't shoot them anymore at the Carnival of St. Anselm's. I got kicked out of the one up there, the Marine World, for getting mothers to contribute $5, and I was getting every kid was getting a big pink dolphin and a blue crocodile, and so I must have an 8x10 glossy on the back wall of that. And then I know other free throws that I wasn't allowed to shoot. Jack Hayes raised an eyebrow when I thought I was going to go down there and participate in the free throw shooting contest down there.
Drake.
Yeah, he said,
You're banned.
yeah. So Mr. Hayes was my counselor, and one of the guys that walked me to every one of my classes. So that look I remember, and when I walked in, that's when you just said, thank you for coming. Just done.
Who's a better free throw shooter? You or Cap Loudon?
Cappy, I would never shoot against Cappy down at his park, kind of Rochambeau.
Rochambeau.
Yeah.
The legend.
Never. Cappy was, and he would tell you though, too.
Right.
And on my car rides with the Lavins in the morning coming to Drake, I knew how confusing the world was, even then. So I knew that free throw shooting was just part of it.
I was just texting with Steve. Steve's agreed to do this with us as well. He's one of my heroes. Had a huge impact on me as a kid.
Yeah, Steve great guy. He's had one of my oldest and dearest friends, Mark, his brother, living with him right now.
Yeah.
And so because of that, we like to think we could talk more. I'm sorry about his job, but I went down there to Santa Clara this year to watch them play, and it was another unfortunate loss for Steve. It was I really enjoyed him and his coaching staff. I mean, I got to play with Lavins forever.
Yeah.
Had sandals on.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Also,
yeah.
There you go. If you want to revel in guys that have done well to the county and to the sport, Steve is certainly one of them.
Well, let's wrap up with this. You're an incredible part of this community. Thank you for everything you've done for the kids in this community, for basketball. You're absolutely the reason we wanted to start doing this silly podcast was to celebrate Marin basketball. And there's nothing that personifies Marin basketball and community like Eddie Joe Chavez. And we're honored to sit with you. Thank you for bearing with us, and
thank you for your time.
No, thank
in the gym is appropriate too.
Here we are. Yeah, the ball's bouncing.
You guys wanted to have me out at the restaurant. Don't tell Jerry that I didn't mention that. Because I've had some great burgers over there. But and he's employed, I think, a kid that took my daughter to a dance, and he's got Kieran up and over there, and so I mean, he's doing a lot for the community as well.
Yeah.
But
he gets plenty of publicity on the podcast. He doesn't need
get with those guys from Southtown, man. I don't know how to tell you, but and all the names that I miss. I grew up down there with the influences, Leroy Barrow and Honor Jackson and Warren Domino and the Hall brothers, and I mean there was some great athletes that came out of there. Will Garner, Ray Mop Williams, and I can't tell you how fun that was for a kid.
Yeah,
to get those guys, and Tammy Bell with the sharpest elbows in the county, allow me to get with them and let me play and go through that process of learning. Not only about the county and its tough time, but how it influenced me to go, okay, when I get to play with my guys and the secular part of the county we're in, I want to make sure that they know what dribbling through your legs behind the back in a spin move, what that is. If they haven't seen it yet, well then know it's going on all the time down there. They just need to know that it has its purpose and intent. And so it was huge. It was huge over there.
We'll get them on. We've been talking about doing more episodes about Marin City and South County and the legacy there. So that's a great idea.
But, because there was a rec program that was started down there that was infamous.
Yeah.
I mean, kids were coming to play from everywhere. And again, it couldn't have been without that where it started. They couldn't have gone throughout the county like a fire it did. I really think that it had its inception there and then matriculated up and through other places.
Yep. That's right.
That's my pick.
Well, we've talked before about what makes Marin County basketball different, or special, we think, than other places, and maybe that's where it started. That's probably where it started. Yeah.
No,
it's a great call.
No doubt. And again, in my perspective, but you could find kids there that were battling. My father would let me know that were just in battle, but he would get them in there.
Yeah.
And we would do boxing, or we would do wrestling, we would do ping pong. He would get kids to swing that would never have ever seen a pool.
Amazing.
And then we would go over and take watermelons from Safeway. And they would never know that we did it. And I would sit out there and go, this life is blessed. This is a great and wonderful thing. And, and I think there wasn't the pay for play, but my father was there endlessly. And it was and I really believe that the storm came from the south.
That's beautiful.
And then it happened at Drake, and the historic run Bridge City and South County never got to pinch itself the way Drake did, So, power to Drake. Don't discount it.
Yep.
There were some guys out here who put in some relentless time. There's some pretty good kids, But I think it happened to start that.
Eddie Joe,
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, David.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks.
And I hope you guys come on and enjoy this.
And thank you to our newest sponsor, the Social Club. That is the Social KLUB, a modern indoor playground in Sausalito for kids aged 0 to 7. It is designed for play, exploration, and creativity. By day, it's a beautifully curated play space where kids can burn energy and parents can relax. That sounds great if you have little kids. And after hours, it transforms into a hub for adult classes, workshops, and events, bringing the same sense of community to grown-ups too. This is co-founded by Tessa White, who is a big fan and now a sponsor of the podcast. Thank you to Tessa. And you can find the Social Club at 2650 Bridgeway in Sausalito, California. The Social Club is also available for rental for parties. You pay the rent, then there is the party, and the rest is gravy. The Run TMC podcast is also sponsored by the Hub in San Anselmo. With plenty of parking and new Tesla charging stations at Red Hill Shopping Center, the Hub is the go-to burger spot where locals come to dine, drink, socialize, and sponsor Run TMC podcast roundtables. While their 100% grass-fed burgers are divine, the menu also features healthy salads made with local produce, vegetarian and vegan options, and the best crispy chicken sandwich in Marin. Amen to that. With 8 craft beers and ciders on tap, plus hand-spun milkshakes, there is something for everyone. Big thank you again to Jerry and Rebecca, to Jake and Dexter Beers, and all of the Hub staff that welcome us to the Hub for good food and good company and above average podcasting. Thank you again to the Hub.
We are sponsored by Batiste Rum. Thank you to our friend John Lawson for supporting us again. Batiste Rum is imported in bulk from the French Caribbean before proofing and bottling in Napa. It's made from 100% sugarcane juice, not molasses or syrups like other rums, so it's light and dry with a clean, not sweet taste, making it perfect for mixing your favorite cocktail. Its production process has been third-party verified as being carbon negative without relying on purchased offsets, so you know it's done right. Find Batiste Rum at fine local retailers like United, Nugget, Total Wine, Marin Beverage Outlet, and more, or ask for it. Check it out at Batiste Rum, that's BATISTERHUM.com. And please always drink responsibly. Thanks, John.
You know, Dave, we've been seeing a lot more teams in the Bay, and especially here in Marin, repping Encore Custom lately. Their uniforms and warm-ups are totally legit, and I'm not just glazing on a spurious level here, Dave. This is real glazing.
Good vocab word. Love the spurious. Exactly, Duff. Couldn't agree more. Most teams have been stuck with the same kind of template uniforms that everyone else has been wearing, but Encore is a place that actually lets teams build something unique to their style and brand.
Yeah, bespoke, just like our Run TMC tees that are coming back again, Dave. Vortex fabric, which is awesome. So yeah, whether it's basketball, volleyball, lacrosse, track, even full sideline sets for players and fans, they'll design what you need with your colors, your graphics, your vibe, and the quality is next level.
So check them out at encorecustom.com or stop by their Santa Fe headquarters on 4th Street. Duffy and I have spent a lot of time in that location hanging with our friend Neil. If your program needs new gear for the season, Encore is the move. Thank you, Encore. We love you.
Word. Thank you, Encore. Thank you, Neil.
Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey, dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County's A-OK, from Tampa, Stinson, all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day.